G'day lawnies, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I got a good one for you. Obviously you would have seen the title. We are looking into one of my favorite tools, which is the Milwaukee Reciprocating scissors. We're going to go through it all. So yeah, without further ado, let's pull the cover off and get a look at these. So we'll get into what this tool actually is. Obviously as you've seen, this is the Milwaukee Reciprocating scissors. And basically it has a reciprocating like action, which sort of cuts like that. And then obviously, you know, it gives you a really nice fine cut and a nice clean cut compared to obviously a string trimmer, which essentially spins around and basically just whacks at the grass, where this here will actually be able to go in and cut it. Hence the reciprocating like action. Now this is a little bit different to your Ego, your iDeck, power rotary scissors, because the rotary scissors, which people get confused about, actually rotate, where the reciprocating ones like this and potentially a couple others obviously just go back and forth. The rotating ones obviously rotate around the actual base. So how about we get into actually testing these out, and then I'll sort of give you a bit more review on who I think they're for, and yeah, a little bit more about them. Alrighty, we are back again. So obviously we've gone out, done a bit of cutting there. So there's a couple of things we can look at with these. These are mainly, which I believe, for the lawn enthusiast. Obviously you're paying a pretty penny. Go check your local retailer, because you could live anywhere in the world and be watching this, so there's no point in me giving you a dollar figure. But look, at the end of the day, you know, I believe they're for a lawn enthusiast, because you're paying a fair bit of money and you're basically looking for a really nice finishy edge of your lawn. You know, if you're cutting like me, out the back here, 15 mil, out the front, I'm cutting down at about 8 to 9 mil. And when you're only taking a little bit off at the time, these are going to give you a such better precise cut compared to your string trimmer. Now obviously with these as well, you can edge sort of that way there, but then you can flip them over and edge like that. So obviously to get that nice sharp edge. Now that sort of goes in a couple ways. You can also use your generic edger, which is this one here, and these the blades obviously spin around, and then as it goes along it gives you that clean cut as well. Now granted, you can use this, but the difference in price from replacing these to replacing this here, well, this is about 4 times more expensive to replace the blades on this. So up to you what you want to do. I sort of do a bit of both, depending on how lazy I am. But look, you know, yeah, it all comes down to personal preference. So if you do plan to vertical edge with these, you will have a lot more wear, because as soon as you put any type of product like this into dirt, it is actually going to blunt them a lot quicker. So be warned, if you do want to edge vertically, you're going to put them into dirt and they're going to get blunt quicker. So you have been warned. That's why you sort of do have the edger, but yeah, do as you will. So a couple of things I wanted to dive into as well is some of the differences and, you know, I guess pros and cons about this machine, which, you know, you interpret it the way you want. One of the big pros is that this is a lot quieter compared to your other versions in the power rotary scissors form. So yeah, it definitely is a lot quieter because it doesn't have that full rotation, so you don't get that real loud effect from that. Also, you can sort of see here, this cap here, it actually obviously is protection, but you can sit it a lot lower. So what I mean by that is, instead of, you know, some of the other ones are a bit thicker, you've really got to, or some of the other ones are a bit thicker in that regard, you've actually got to really angle. Where this here, you can actually sit pretty good, pretty flat, so you're not having to try and angle it in and potentially cause issues for yourself. Where this one here, yeah, you can literally sit it quite nice and flat, you know, with a little bit of angle, and it should be fine. One thing as well, which we'll get into, is you do get more wear with this because it doesn't rotate around, but that's where obviously we'll get into with you're actually able to take this apart and rotate the blades themselves to get more even wear. So yeah, obviously reciprocating action gives you more wear, but you can combat that by moving the blades around. You know, it does have 3 adjustments you can make, so you can get good wear with them and good longevity, and then you can just give them a sharp as well. So now we are going to remove the back plate and get access to the bolts which are hiding underneath it, which will obviously then give us access to the blades themselves and do the changes we need. So yeah, quick removal of the bolt for the back plate, and that'll give us access to everything we need to. So now we've removed that back plate, protection plate, whatever you want to call it. We now have access to all the bolts underneath, and there is 6 in total, obviously 3 for each blade. So up next, we just remove them. So now we've got full access to both top and bottom blades, and this is where it becomes, you know, quite good that you can actually clean these, sharpen them, do whatever you need to do. They're really easy to take off, and then the next stage is actually putting them back together. So now we're up to the stage where we've cleaned them, sharpened them, we're going to put them back together, whatever you want to do. But if you haven't sharpened them, make sure you rotate them one bolt hole over, so then you're getting access to new teeth that you haven't used before. Because at the end of the day, you see the guard up top there, you're not going to get access to those teeth, so you need to rotate this to make sure that you get full use of these blades before you go and replace them. Look, overall, my favourite tool, you know, by far, I absolutely love it. Other than my mower, this is my favourite tool that I have. So look, hopefully this helps, and yeah, if you do love your lawn, love lawn care, then I highly suggest even looking at a version of these in some regard, because it's something that's going to really up your game. Unless you're an absolute pro at using your whippy, you know, I still think these are the way to go. So yeah, check them out if you want, but yeah, we'll catch you next time.